She has written across genres from science and history to philosophy and city narratives. Her works include The Gita for Children and Becoming Bangalore, stories that shaped a hometown, where she chronicles the cultural and civic evolution of her city. A co-founder of Bangalore Walks, she combines storytelling with history to bring places and ideas alive. Up next, we have with us Ms. Malini Goyal. She was a senior business journalist. She co-authored Unboxing Bengaluru, The City of New Beginnings, a definitive work capturing the spirit of India's technology capital. As the co-founder and CEO of the Unboxing Bangalore Foundation, she works to build inclusive conversations around Bengaluru's growth and challenges. And the host for this session, Mr. Benedict Paramanand, is the festival curator of the Business Literature Festival. He is also the founder of the Greenlitfest Festival, which promotes writing on sustainability and the environment. As founder editor of Sustainability Next magazine, he has built a platform for sustainable businesses, practices, and eco-conscious ideas. An author himself, his books include Smash, The Rise of Indian Badminton, and C.K. Prahlad, The Mind of the Futurist. His mission is to build literary platforms where meaningful and deeper conversations can take place. Without much ado, over to the session.
There's a surprise here. I'm going to ask 4 rapid fire questions. And whoever answers quick and enthusiastically, Roopa is going to select them and she's going to give you a book, her book, authored book. Okay, so you have to just shout out the answer. Which was the first city in Asia to have electric street lights in 1905?
Too many, everybody knows.
But you have to.
Okay, next one I'll watch. Malini, please help.
Which Bangalore's, this is a difficult question. Which Bangalore's big science institution, a scientific institution, did Swami Vivekananda influence setting up? Okay. This is a tricky one. Which city has Freedom Park and jail facing each other?
The answer is always Bangalore.
Don't give it away. Okay. Which city built the torpedo for the British in the Second World War? So you would have guessed all these answers were all about Bangalore because this session is about Bangalore. Okay, so who's your winner?
Him and him.
Who?
The 2 blue shirts. One is...
Okay, so after the session, collect a copy of a book, get it signed, we'll pay for it. Okay. So the session theme is the true face of Bengaluru and what big data reveals about the city. The theme came about when I met Roopa over a cup of tea. Incidentally, she has a cup of tea named after her at one of the cafes on 12th Main Road in Tranagar. Okay, because she takes all her...
Yes, that's my adda. I'm always there. So.
Okay. So, while chatting with Roopa, she spoke about her book. Show her book. So it's called Becoming Bangalore, Stories That Shaped a Hometown. So I got intrigued that although I am from Bangalore, I'm a Bengalurian, I know so little about how this city got built. So I said, this session we should have at this literature festival. And of course, I had read Malini's book, Unboxing Bengaluru, and 80% of what is there in the book I didn't know. Although as a journalist, I've covered so much of the growth of Bangalore in the last 3 decades. So here, the session where the 2 ladies will unravel Bangalore for you. Roopa will do from whenever the Bangalore, the Bean Town, from the Bean Town to the Pensioners' Paradise. So that segment. And Malini will take over from there and she'll speak about the city of new beginnings. So these are very nice sounding concepts, but we may not really know what exactly they mean. So we'll ask them to explain. Roopa, starting with you, what really prompted you to write this book, Becoming Bangalore?
Um, well, I'm first of all, thank you for all being here. It's a great pleasure. Thank you, Benedict, for having me. It's my first time at the BizLitFest. I hear it's already in its 11th edition, so happy to be here. And it's quite a creative thing to include something about Bangalore's history in a business lit fest. But the title of my book will give you an idea as to why it has to be included, because Bangalore did not wake up one morning as this amazing city. There were people. It became the city. It evolved into the city because of some amazing, wise, considered, thoughtful decisions made by administrators and kings and people in power over the years, over the centuries. That's why we are where we are. And so it's part of, if Bangalore is the unicorn producing city today, it is because of all the effort that has gone in for almost 500 years now. So I am a third generation Bangalorean. I always like to put that flag first, that nobody mess with me. I don't care who else is a Bangalorean. I'm definitely a Bangalorean because I'm third generation. Plus I'm Kannadiga, so that gives me extra. That doesn't give me extra anything, but I'm just saying. So I've been in love with Bangalore without realizing it since the time I was born, I think. And it was a very kind of love that everybody has for their hometown, because if you have a good childhood, then that's a good place. It holds all your childhood memories. But in the middle, after I finished my engineering, it was a place where, I wanted to write, and there weren't that many places that you could find jobs here where you could work as a writer. There was only Tech and Herald. There was no magazine that came out of Bangalore. So I had to leave, and I left. I lived all over the world, came back after 12 years and found that my city had changed unrecognizably, not for the worse, but just there had been great change, because I went away in 1993 after liberalization, and I came back in 2004, by which time the first mall had come up, Forum Mall, which there had been no malls when I left. So it was a very different Bangalore I came back to, and it was a very nice experience that I came in as an insider outsider. I was from here, but I had to make my acquaintance with the city all over again. So the first thing I did when I came back, luckily I got a commission to write a book called Ticket Bengaluru by a person who was trying to be the Lonely Planet of India, by a publisher. So that gave me a good chance to go back, reacquaint myself with the new Bangalore with legitimacy. Like, I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, so people would talk to me. And since then, and soon after, my husband and I started Bangalore Walks, which is this heritage and history walking tours company, which gave us another opportunity to go into the history of Bangalore. Always loved Bangalore, did not think it had a long history, because even today, anybody who comes in thinks it's a very modern city because it's got that young, modern, forward-looking vibe. It doesn't carry the weight of its history on its shoulders, but it is a very old town. And when we began to delve into the history, we discovered a lot of fascinating stories. So for the last 20 years, I've been writing about it, talking about it, thinking about it, reading about it. And 4 years ago, I began writing a column about it, a fortnightly column in the Hindustan Times. And this is a collection of those columns. That's how I came to write Becoming.
Yeah. Coming to history, I'm a history buff, although I've not really read much of history. I think the significance of history of Bangalore is not as close to Delhi, but somewhere there. We don't realize that. Why I say this is Tipu Sultan, who's nearby, Srirangpatna, and Bangalore was his summer palace. If he had succeeded in that fourth Anglo-Mysore war, the history of India would have been totally different. That I think we recognize very little.
Yeah, if Napoleon had made that final journey from Egypt to South India, as he had promised to, as he had planned to, except that his fleet got burnt by Admiral Nelson, so he was forced to go back to Europe. But if he had made that final sea journey to meet Comrade Tipu, as he had promised he would, then this whole BizLitFest might have been conducted in French. Yeah.
And if one of his ministers had not done the trip, I think these two changed the history of South India. And British won't have been able to govern India, because at that time British was weak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming back to the session, Roopa said she was insider, outsider, outsider, insider. So
know what I'll be.
so Malini is outsider and trying to be an insider since the last 4 years, 5 years.
Yes, 2021.
2021. So let's hear from her why you wrote this book and why you titled this as the City of New Beginnings.
So just to answer first, third generation, and I don't know what generation, but that's the beauty of Bangalore. I've been here 4 years, and I feel at home. In Delhi, I've lived most of my life, 35 years, and I don't miss Delhi that much as I miss people there. But the way I've settled down in Bangalore is something that I think is what most people feel who move into the city, and it resonates with me. Why the book? So most journalists dream of writing a book, so that's one reason. Two other important reason was that in 2007-8, I did a 4-part series on Hyderabad. At that time, Chandrababu Naidu was making significant changes in the city, and I just wanted to immerse myself in the city and look at it through a 360-degree lens. And I had never been to Hyderabad, and I loved immersing myself in the city. Not a book, 4-part specials report, you can say, and I loved it. And then I did a similar exercise on South Africa, Israel, Taiwan, and it was all a fantastic experience for a journalist to immerse and get into a new territory and write. So that was the second reason I wanted to look at it. But the third and most important reason was that every time I came to Bangalore, I saw the creaky infrastructure, roads, traffic jam, potholes that everybody speaks about. But yet, day after day, headlines after headlines, you read about so many multinationals, so many $1 billion, so much of investment, FDI, all that. You wanted to make sense of the dichotomy that exists in the city, right? Why? What is so different, so special, so unique that despite so many challenges that the city faces, why are people coming here? Why are multinationals coming here? In 2017, I remember 2016 or 17, IKEA moved its headquarters from Gurgaon to Bangalore. And they didn't sort of tell me the answer directly, but they moved. They made a very conscious decision. And this was not one company, but companies after companies, startups after startups. And it was journalistic curiosity to unravel and unpack some of the things that made Bangalore different. So,
Okay. Tell us a bit about your Bangalore Rising. This is this is not a book. This is more of a research report, heavy data, and this reveals at least 5 huge data which I don't think most of us are aware of. So, what are those? As you said, you have 10 slides.
yes.
Can we quickly go through that,
Yes.
Ganesh?
So first, maybe a minute on this. This is
Yeah.
an annual data report on India's top cities. We came from the fact that in India, our cities are orphans, political, administrative, bureaucratic orphans. While we extract so much out of our cities, we don't give them the enough attention that they deserve. So there is very little data. For Bangalore, it's particularly very important because 2011 census, which is the latest data that is available, is prehistory because the city has simply boomed after that. So when I was writing the book, we realized that none of the data made sense. And the third is that in an era where digital universe is so vibrant, and we measure how many steps we take, what we consume, what we buy, how we invest minute after minute. Such important, interesting data, which is important for all of us who make decisions to move cities, and also for policymakers and experts. How can they understand city in somewhat real-time sense? So this is a one-of-a-kind report. It's an annual data report on India's top cities: Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune. Kolkata. And we look at government data, regulatory data, that's what is available, but we also look at private data and we also look at digital platform data to be able to triangulate, extrapolate, draw out insights on India's top cities. So that's where I'm coming from. It's a work in progress. We are trying to be as robust as possible. The second report is in the works, and I can tell you when it comes out in November, I'm quite excited. As a journalist, I'm quite excited what that report would hold. But let me just take you through 2-3 important insights to be able to make sense of Bangalore. This is jobs data. Jobs data, prime jobs, as you call it, the elite, the creamy layer jobs. And we looked at Cushman and Wakefield, which is a real estate consulting firm, looked at grade A leasing space data to extrapolate number of jobs being created between 2013 and 2024. That's what the data is telling you. The government data is still not capturing in a manner, and this is creamy layer. So think about the multiplier effect, ripple effect, all that it would have across the economy, city economy, what it is doing, and you'll get a sense of it in the next slide. Okay, this is another data that you might want to. Of course, Bangalore is not yet a metro city. And we'll leave it at that. It's not a metro city. But you look at the twin cities in airline, right? The two cities sort of... okay, so we'll quickly go through it. So you see the top 3 twin city connectivity Bangalore figures in 2 of them. And it is telling you where travelers are moving. I'm just going to run past quickly. I know we are short. This is the number of colleges set up post 2000, and you see the growth of the city. Bangalore has the largest number of colleges, and this is an interesting data. What do people in the city do? Bangalore people do a whole lot of people do meetups and workshops, and it's telling you the kind of people who are here in the city. Of course, movies, theaters, all that are hygiene across all big cities. But what stood out for us is the meetups being so big. Meetups and workshops. So this is all the talent pool, which is predictable, but in terms of job listings, and this is a LinkedIn job data, which is, of course, Bangalore is the biggest creator of jobs in the IT tech sector, but also non-IT tech sectors. The salary inflation is the highest in the country, and it is telling you the demand and supply, and a reason why a whole lot of our young people are moving into the city. I'm actually going to stop because we are running short on time.
Yeah, we have a bit of legway. One of the speakers in the next session is not well, so we have 5 minutes. We can steal 5 minutes from there.
Okay.
So while we do that, I'll ask Roopa to. Her book. If you're in Bangalore, if you're a Bangalorean, I would almost insist, please pick up a copy. You would love it, and it's full of stories. And I'll requesting her to share one story which she thinks needs to be shared.
Yeah, sure. So we know that Bangalore is the aviation hub. It's the center of India's space research program. It's the very science forward, all of that. But there was still one story after 20 years of talking about Bangalore and writing. I still didn't know one story which I discovered. There are many like that, but I'm going to relate one, which I discovered when I wrote this book. So we think of J.R.D. Tata as the India's first aviator because he made that flight from Karachi to Bombay as the mail flight in 1932. But there was a person from old Mysore state called S.V. Sethi, and he was actually the very first aviator. I'll tell you his story. It's very quickly. It's an amazingly impressive but also tragic story. So S.V. Sethi grew up in a time when there was no aircraft at all. He was born in the late 1800s. He was a smart chap. He did engineering. He did Maharaja College whatever science degree. Then he went to Guindy for his engineering. And because he was such a good student, he got a last year, the final year, he went to Thomason College in Roorkee, which became IIT Roorkee. So he finished his electrical engineering. Electrical engineering was a brand new field that had just come in. He finished there and started working for the PWD, Mysore PWD. He came back, started working for PWD. Then he got a chance to go to Faraday House in London, which was offering electrical engineering and internships in various electrical companies there. So he goes there, and then suddenly aircraft become important to him, because by that time in 1902 or something, the Wright brothers had flown over the dunes of Kitty Hawk in North Carolina. So aviation was a big thing. He was a young man who was mechanically minded. Surely it really fired his imagination. And even better, in 1909, the year that he landed in London, a man called Louis Beryl Blériot, an aviator, had flown across the channel from France to England. So that had brought it so much closer home. So that became his interest. And in 1910, he had finished with his work, but a generous patron from Mysore allowed him to stay on for another couple of years. And he joined an aircraft company that had just opened called AV Row, which became Avro in England. So AV Row he joined in 1910 and as an engineer, but he also began to learn to fly. There were flying lessons being offered somewhere else in England close by. He started to learn to fly. And when he began to fly, he realized the problems. It came with great danger. There were great inherent risks in being a pilot in those days because the machines were not that robust. So using his engineering mind, he decided to change the design of a biplane, and he made a biplane that worked much better, much safer for pilots. And when he was flying it, an Australian aviator called John Duigan saw him and said, I like the design of that biplane. I want to buy the design. He bought it, and that became the Avro Duigan, which became the Avro 501, which became the Avro 504, which was the most produced aircraft during World War I, all because of S.V. Sethi. S.V. Sethi himself, however, by 1911 or 12, his patronage ran out, so he was forced to come back to India, to Mysore. So he didn't finish the required number of flying hours that was required for a license. And therefore, we don't acknowledge him as the first aviator. He comes back. His connection to me, I have a very close connection to him, which I didn't know about. He came back, and you know who was the Diwan in 1912? Sir M.V. Such a canny, sharp man, apart from in engineering, in every way. His whole delight in life was to spot people, Mysoreans coming back from somewhere or whatever, and put them in charge of various things, which he thought they were perfect for. So he picked on S.V. Sethi. He said, come, I'm starting a technical college. Mysore is starting a technical college. You become the, superintendent of it or the dean of it or something. Brought him in 1917. That college became Mysore's first engineering college, UVCE. And I'm an alumnus of UVCE. Therefore, that was the connection of S.V. Sethi to me. And they didn't even, in the college, they don't even have a portrait of him. He was the first aviator. And anyway, but here's the real tragedy. He wanted an aircraft factory. He wanted to build it in Mysore. He had the know-how, but the First World War had begun, 1914 to 1918. So he couldn't do anything at that time. And in 1918, the Spanish plague swept through Bangalore and took him with it. At the age of 38, S.V. Sethi was dead. But yeah, we need to celebrate him. So his story.
That's a sad, interesting and sad story, but huge round of applause for that. So yeah, we are opening out for questions. So
She didn't like. She's a very sharp journalist, and she gave me such a hard time when I was in the planning commission. Yeah, no, explain it to me. I'm going to put you a question. Okay, a city is a system. The measures that you have indicated, are they measuring all the necessary things about the health of the system? Here in Bangalore, you talked about gatherings. Janagraha, which has got this model of city systems, and it has been publishing year after year, supported by the governments of the various states, the ratings of cities as systems. Bangalore doesn't come out very well. Environmental system, inequality, right? It doesn't come out very well. So, How are we going to improve the governance of Bangalore as a system?
Just a small slice of the entire report. The report it's not an unvarnished view of Bangalore. The city has the least municipal budget, and per capita municipal budget is the lowest amongst all cities in the country. Okay, so I
Especially, I would say in Bangalore, say that since the government can't do it well, let us do it. And so we deny paying right amount of taxes, which only the rich can pay and corporations pay, to the municipality. It's a governance issue again.
So I agree with you. So governance, in fact, corruption, some of the governance issue that you are flagging is absolutely relevant in the case of Bangalore. The political instability, the constant churn of power between different parties, all those are very important reasons, right? But this was not just a sliver of insight into Bangalore. The city has many problems, as I said, and what you see on the street is a symptom of it. But let's not also deny the fact that every city has problems. Bangalore has certain problems, Delhi has its own set of problems, and Bombay, Chennai, all that. So sometimes in the digital era, particularly when we are living in these social media bubbles, the nuance goes away. The conversation is not informed and data led. The intention of this report is to equip you with the data, nuance, and not in a varnished but unvarnished way on India's top city, not just Bangalore. Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, Kolkata, Pune, all that, to help you get a relative understanding of the city. So I don't know if I answered your question. I'm in no way not acknowledging the problem. The city has many, many problems.
I've been to some eight of the 15 walks which happened. So one request is to write something on these specific areas as well. So someone being from Rajajinagar who currently stays in Vijayanagar and who works in Kormangla. I just want local stories to come up from someone like this. So it's sincere request. Yeah.
Any more?
Thank you. This is not exactly a question to you, Roopa, but so I'm Sagar. I'm associated with WeWork. Came over here with a different intention altogether. But I was reading your book last night. Okay. So Becoming Bangalore, I kind of purchased from Blossoms the week before, and I was just going through it. And this is I just wanted to also extend my gratitude to what you have done, and the kind of light you have shared on Bangalore was amazing. I was going through the facts on the Cunningham Road and stuff like that, and how Britishers even kind of chose their shoes and all of that. So it's very intriguing. So I thought, okay, you are in front of me and I should not miss out on this opportunity. So even thank you for the wonderful work that you have done.
You were talking about problems of various cities across the country, Bangalore, Delhi. Every city has its own problem. Is Bangalore relatively better than other cities?
Yes, in some ways, no, and it's not a politician talking about it. The challenges that the city faces, think about the winter pollution problem, which is sending many Delhiites away from Delhi to Goa, Dehradun, Bangalore, all parts. It's a very different kind of problem. And Bangalore has its own set of problems. So I can't say one city is better than the other. You make your choices. When I came here, one of the things that really changed about me is I began to walk. Now you say this city doesn't have footpath. How are you walking? In Delhi, I didn't feel secure, so I couldn't walk. I took out my car even for a 5 minutes, and at night I would never walk. So how a woman experiences a city is also very different. So I think each one of us will have our own unique lens to judge a better city, right? But I'll leave it at that.
I have one question going to ask on behalf of Sudhakar Rao. So Malini, you've done Hyderabad and Bangalore. That's why the question. Hyderabad aspires to be Bangalore, and Bangalore is arrogant, right? So what can Hyderabad learn from Bangalore to become like Bangalore in next 5 years?
Let me first say, what can Bangalore learn from Hyderabad? Maybe better infrastructure. Um, Hyderabad has a better hardware,
So full marks to you.
and Bangalore is much better on soft infra, which is the vibe, culture, people, all that. And I think that's the charm of this city. I think it, and software these days are harder to sort of replicate than hardware. But I'm not saying it's one versus the other. I think both are very important. We need to work on hardware here.
Okay, let me continue from here.
So that time.
Yeah, so when it comes to criticism, time is the
Okay.
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 Take me. Okay, in the data that you presented, in one of the slides, Hyderabad was dangerously close to Bangalore, but some of you have chosen not even take the name of Hyderabad. You talked only about Bangalore and left it there. There's number one observation. Number two, the meetups in the city are supposed to be pretty large. It's like an outlier in terms of the data that we looked at. If someone is 124, somebody else is at 20. It's that kind of huge difference. Why the meetup here is so poor today? That's my question. I am an existential realist, so I will ask these questions.
So the fact that I'm talking about Bangalore and she is, because we live here. We are the flag bearers of the city. So it's obvious that we'll talk about Bangalore. The report does not. Report does not have any biases. It looks at all the 6 cities, including Hyderabad. So I don't think we should insinuate that the report is biased.
Okay.
Right? What was the third one?
Yeah, so third one I'll answer that. So Bangalore is spoiled because we have so many.
So Bangalore should aspire to be Hyderabad. That's the correction in the first point.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. That's your opinion. We'll just take 10 seconds each from both of you. Future. So the spirit of Bangalore, what both of you have spoken about, how can we enhance it? Just in 2 sentences each.
So I would put 3 things that the government, the Bangalore should either preserve or build on. One is public transport. All good global cities have robust public transport. Second, the city should preserve and build on its green heritage that the city has. And third, I see a lot of silos within the city: tech, non-tech, old, new, young, old, Kannada, anti-Kannada. So I think the silos, if we can break in some way to bring people together, those are the 3 things I think would help the city become better.
Yeah, I'm not giving recommendations, but I feel that this culture of science that has existed, that should be carried on, because that keeps us secular and open-minded and liberal, which is our strength actually. Of course, green cover should be preserved. Even today, we are the only city in India that has 2 giant public parks in the heart of the city, apart from the military park and all the rest of it. So there is already a huge culture of citizen activism in the city. We have to keep that going and stop saying that, we are paying our taxes, BBMP should do it. But the city has been preserved. Cubbon Park has been preserved because of voluntary citizen activism. And that comes out of a love for the city and a feeling that we need to protect it, which is only enhanced by allowing migrants to come in and contribute and be part of our city somehow. So,
yeah. On that note, I'll call this session to a close. Thank you very much. Thank you for the questions.
Thank you, Benedict. Thank you, everybody.
We all have at least one story in mind to share when it comes to Bangalore, which made the session absolutely relatable. I request our speakers to kindly remain on dais, and I take this moment to invite Ben to present the token of appreciation to our speakers for the session. Can we please have a huge round of applause for the speakers?
One picture.